In 2014, I invested just under $4,000 into a real estate play. It's my first and only real estate investment ever. And without any outside investment, no extra money, no debt, no financing, no loans, that investment, that play, is currently worth over $20 million. I'm gonna talk to you about why it's worth over $20 million, how I got there, and if you're currently a subscriber who's built a business like it, this will help you evaluate your own business and plan to maybe do some fundraising. For example, if you wanted to get outside investors. If you're new to this channel, I'm gonna give you something for free at the end of this video. No, I'm not gonna try to sell you a course or a webinar. I'm actually gonna give you a whole course for free because I believe you don't need one to start your Airbnb business, all right? So my name's Sean Rakicic, this is Airbnb Automated, and let me give you some numbers. All right, welcome back, Airbnb family. So first, let's thank Steve McKinnon for sharing this Forbes article with us in our Facebook group, the hosts of Airbnb Automated. You're a boss, Steve. This has inspired this whole talk, and hopefully this will provide a lot of value to people in the YouTube space. Now, before I get into the numbers, I want to ask all of you to like this video because there are subscribers around the world who will not see this video because they don't get notifications for every video. But if you like this video, it'll increase the chances of them getting notified. It helps that algorithm per se. So thank you in advance for helping this video survive and move by just simply liking, and leave a comment, say hi, maybe. Yeah, and if you have an Airbnb business, like in the comments, I want you to help us prove that Airbnb is awesome. In the comments, tell people how many apartments or the houses you have, just so people who are watching this know that this isn't bogus. With that said, let me first prove to you that I'm an Airbnb host. I think that's important. I just claimed to be an Airbnb host, and I'm going to tell you right now that we make over $2 million a year, right, on the Airbnb platform. Let me first give you one of our Gmail accounts that shows some deposits from Airbnb, like daily deposits. Let me show you my performance tab for one of my other accounts that shows that Airbnb hosts in my competitive market typically charge $113 a night, but we're collecting like $145 a night. So we outperform the average Airbnb host. That's letting you know that, yeah, we are a little bit special. Let me show you one of our listings calendars that it's just jam full month over month, and we make over $9,000. One of our high months, we hit about $12,000 in cash flow, and our rents are $2,400 a month. We have 70 units, and we can profit up to $9,000 a month with one of them. That's gigantic. I think that might be the best performing arbitrage I've ever seen, by the way. If you guys have one that makes more than $9,000 per month profit, like, tell me in the comments right now, because I would love to shoot your space and put you on this channel if you guys are crushing it that much, because you deserve an attaboy. So with that said, Sean's an Airbnb host. I've been doing it since 2014. How did I start with less than $4,000? Well, it was an accident. I have a sales company, and I relocated somebody from Michigan to stay in a high rise that I was staying in. When they moved in, I got the first 2 months of rent free. It's called a front end lease concession. And in about a year, this is gonna happen. Actually, in Houston right now, there are places giving away 12 weeks free. There are apartments right now giving you front end 8 to 12 weeks free. You could do it the same way I did, because when apartments are hurting for occupancy, they do these front end deals. They'll even give you like $1,000 on a gift card right now too. Super cool. So right now, the time for arbitrage, it's now. It's great. And over the next year or two, as the recession just starts gutting people, people are gonna be giving away the farm to get people to move in. Like for a fact, one good fact, 14% of Dallas's real estate for apartments is under construction right now, which means in the next 12 months, the available real estate will jump by 14%. And all these apartment owners, they'll be struggling to fill them up. So they will wheel and they will deal, because unless Dallas increases its rentable population by 14%, it sounds like they're overbuilding, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. So how I did it for under $4,000 was a front end lease concession. That $4,000 went into furnishings. Now in 2014, it was super easy. I was making $1,500 to $2,000 a month on this little studio apartment, and I reinvested, got a second one. I ended up putting my own home on it because I started traveling, and so next thing you know, I have 3 apartments making about $6,000 a month on Airbnb. Now, we didn't take it seriously until 2017 when the Super Bowl hit, and we decided to jump up to 10 units to make a lot of money on the Super Bowl. We profited 15 grand in a weekend. Thank you, Mr. Super Bowl, for bringing people. Love you. And from there, we just kept it going, and we just kept reinvesting our profits in the growth, and now we're where we are. We're adding 21 apartments this month. 7 of them are relocations. We're moving units to a different building, so we're growing by a net 14 units. All right, so now let's look at the numbers here. This article, Forbes says that Sonder has 3,500 apartments and is worth $1.1 billion. I decided I was going to play with this and see if we can come up with a ballpark valuation per rented apartment, right? So they take an apartment, they furnish it, they put it out there, and people rent it, right? Now, Lyric is worth $240 million, and they have 500 apartments. So if we take 1.1 billion divided by 3,500 units, the total valuation per unit, like looking at that number alone, is 312,000. But we did that with Lyric to 240 million divided by 500. It's like way higher. It's like 450 or 480,000, right? I'll do the math and post it. So there's something fishy here, right? This won't make sense. This doesn't work. So I realized though that Airbnb just invested like 160 million into Lyric, like halfway through the year. This is kind of fresh. So they have cash on hand. That's got to be the explanation. So I'm like, all right. So if part of their valuation is based on their operating portfolio, and then the rest of that 240 million is based on how much cash they actually have in their bank account, that would make perfect sense. So what did I do? I subtracted 80 million from Lyric. Instead of valuating them at 240 million, I put them at 160 million for their portfolio and 80 million for their cash, right? So take that 160 million, divide that by 500, and you now have $320,000 per operating apartment that is operating as a short-term rental or hotel. That's way closer to Saunders' 312, right? So now we take that 320, we multiply our 70 active units by 320, we're worth $22.4 million. So even if that number is slightly generous and you wanted to shave off a couple million, like you wanted to shave off 10%, which would actually make our portfolio worth less than 300,000 per unit, we're still worth more than $20 million. And that doesn't even include my cash on hand. Isn't that awesome? That's super cool, right? So if you are an Airbnb operator and you have a bunch of rentals, the key here to remember here is this valuation is based on the fact that that business can be sold, right? These companies are large enough that you take a piece out, like the CEO or the CFO, and you replace them, they're interchangeable because they're so big. My business is large enough that if I exited the company and they replaced me, if I sold my business and they replaced me with a CEO that knew what he was doing in real estate or hospitality or something, this business would do just fine without me. It's to that point. I'm not needed. I'm a master delegator now. And I am pretty much just the CEO for the sake of growth. And at any point, if I ever did sell the company, they would just remove me and they would be fine. You want to get your business to that point if you want to justify this phase of valuation, right? If you are an operator that is needed in your Airbnb business, like you manage all your housekeepers, you manage your maintenance staff, and you do everything else, if you get removed from the business, if it would all implode when you disappear, you can't fetch that kind of valuation. So if you want to go for a round of fundraising, the reason why these numbers matter is it's based on what you can convince somebody to give you money based off of. So let me give you a fun example. WeWork, they have a huge backer, SoftBank. SoftBank convinced the world that WeWork was worth $45 billion by buying shares back from WeWork at an inflated value, right? SoftBank, I think, was trying to make a sly move. But now, after they released their S1 filings, and they also found out that Adam Neumann, like the CEO, was doing a little like shady stuff, like self-dealing and like leasing to himself and all these other things that just are kind of unethical and not sustainable, their valuation has dropped somewhere like 10 to 12 billion in things that I've read recently. So that valuation is highly speculative when you're in the private sector and when you're negotiating with investors. See, SoftBank is willing to put billions and billions of dollars into the WeWork for the chance to make money on an exit. And that's what your investors would want too. So at this point, if I was going to take my business to investors and try to sell people on giving me money for my business, I would advertise my valuation at like 30 million or more. Because what I would try to say is that we've built it to this valuation without any outside capital. We bootstrapped it the whole way. And imagine what we could do if we just had that extra firepower. So that's my point. You want to sell your business to investors in a certain light that gives them confidence in what you've built. If you ever want to go for a fundraising round, you need to have your ducks in a row. You need to have a pitch deck. You need to have everything figured out. And in this case, I know where my value stands, and that's what I would do if I went to, if I decided to go for fundraising. But I'm not, and the reason why I'm not is because I want to build this business for the sake of the YouTube channel just as big as I can build it without any outside capital, because it would be fun. And that maintains the integrity of this relationship, because I told you I built it for $4,000 without any outside money, and I'm going to continue to do that. So If you're new to this channel, here's your free course. I'm going to link it in a card and I'm going to put it at the end. It's also in the description. I made this free course called what's that, Airbnb automated course, free for YouTube version. And so this is over 70 videos of how I built this business over the course of 2 years. It's everything that anybody would ever want to sell you in a course. They can't sell you a course anymore because they can't add value to your life beyond the free course that I'm giving you right now. And no, there's no back end sell. I will be selling Airbnb education products, and if you ever want one, cool, but I'm not going to stuff it down your throat. You may never need one. There's thousands of people on this channel who have built their Airbnb businesses for free right here on YouTube. And this is a roll call. All of you who are still watching this video, who've been subscribed for a couple years, humble brag in the comments. I know tons of you are making tons of money. Some of you guys are nearing 100 units yourselves. You guys are doing a great job, and I'm so proud of all of you. So for those of you who are new, welcome to Airbnb Automated. Watch some more videos, learn about Airbnb arbitrage, and level up with us. Welcome to the movement. Thank you, and I'll see you on the other side.